Here with you through the mid-morning hours to get you ready for all the big events in your neighborhood.
Isn't it like a record amount of fog? I mean, you were showing that yesterday.
Record number of fog alerts.
Fog alerts, holy cow. Yeah, well, anyway, we have you covered, of course, the Weather Channel does, from coast to coast. We'll talk about all of that. And, it doesn't seem really stormy out there right now, but it's the fog that's kind of stealing the show.
Yes, it is. Although I found one spot without fog. Only one.
Where's that?
Phoenix.
Hey, Phoenix, I'm sure producer Tori is like that.
Yes. But most other spots, I mean, you mentioned the fog alerts, they've expanded. So we've got more today than yesterday. It's not just top to bottom, but now we got more the northeast into the foggy mix. And the rain is so far north.
Yes, in places that you would think would be snowing in late January are raining because the mild air has now completely invaded the lower 48.
I'm watching Mount Washington because they are 32 degrees and light snow. They could rain.
They could rain. That's at 6,000. I know. Wow. New Hampshire, 6,000 feet in the mountains.
Yeah.
Raining?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, rinse and repeat. That is the theme of today's big deal. Forecast challenges here, starting in a very soggy Milwaukee. Yes, rain. And thanks to our virtual view technology here in Veterans Park, you can see the rain, the fog kind of settling in like in so many cities. Make sure to give yourself some extra time to get from one destination to another, as both rain and patchy fog is going to reduce visibility on the roadways. And it's mild, 39 degrees in Minneapolis. Guess our average high right now, 30. That's the average high temperature, but we're sitting at 39 degrees in the morning. We've got rain that has moved through. The fog is left behind. Visibility running about a half mile. There is a wind chill factor making it feel colder out there. So overall, just a very raw morning in and around Milwaukee and up towards Green Bay, where it's raining now very steadily. Rain back extending towards Cedar Rapids. Minneapolis, not raining, but it's foggy, and we're sitting at 35 degrees. At 7 o'clock in the morning here, or 8 o'clock in the morning in Minneapolis. Now, we look at temperatures in Michigan, all the way up through northern Michigan. We are above freezing. Marquette, we're sitting at 35. So for everyone here, whether it's raining or not, it's all about the fact that it's above freezing. And that's causing its own problems. It's part of the reason why we have the fog. It's also why we've got these ice jams happening and driving some flooding concerns. So in Grundy and Will County in Illinois, near the town of Wilmington, we've got considerable risk of flash flooding here. There is ice jam flooding. There's been a water rise of about 3 feet. There's some evacuations that have happened. Flooding caused by an ice jam in the lower Kankakee River, but also from the snow melt and from the rain. So it's really everything coming together. Dangerous ice flows or shifting of ice here could also damage structures along the shore. So that's another concern for you right there. Also keep an eye on parts of the Vermilion River as well in Illinois. We're going to be watching the Iroquois River into Indiana. We're going to be watching that concern today because we see how mild it is with all green on the map. It's all rain. We get rain across Wisconsin, Milwaukee, more rain coming your way. We'll get rain across Michigan, lower Michigan, all the way up to the north, Traverse City. We've got rain coming your way. Detroit, it'll be rain, not snow. So watching, of course, what's going on here, and when ice begins to melt, it can cause what is known as ice jams. And meteorologist Alex Wilson explains exactly what they are and the problems they can cause. That moisture is pulling away as the cold air is filtering in. So we'll see. Boston, not a huge snowfall event there, but, a chance. And winter's not over. I think that's the key message here. Winter's
not over. I mean, even when it's warm, and you mention this all the time, like when it's warmer than average in January, doesn't mean it's too warm to snow.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah. Well, 4 teams have battled the elements all season long. Yeah. I don't know. I think I would chicken out.
You would chicken out?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, the helicopter lasted 72 flights in years.
It's not enough for me.
Not enough?
I need 1 million.
I know the helicopter had problems with the cold on Mars, and so I feel like I feel that. Yeah. It might be too cold for me.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's time. We can change our minds.
There is time, and there's more time in the show. Well, we'll come back. We'll talk more about all the changing weather happening this weekend, including the risk for severe. But it's sitting right at 32 degrees. So there is cold air. You can see that in Maine. That's the only spot that's truly cold, like in Caribou, we were in the teens. That's it. That's all I can find.
It kind of feels like spring is really trying to make an early arrival. I'm not sure it's here to stay, but the fact that it's here brings the threat of severe weather.
Right. And that's going to ramp up tomorrow.
Yes, and we're going to be watching that in the south. Jen, thank you very much. Let's have a look at the
interesting. A lot of the active weather has been in the Pacific Northwest, which remains again the case today, and that's where we're going to see the rainfall and maybe some disruptions to travel. We have rain for you around Seattle. It's raining down through Portland right now. Medford is raining at the moment, and we're going to see that continue. You notice our temperatures are going up into the 50s. Snow levels are going to be very high. Yet again, this is another mild system coming in from the Pacific. We see that moisture getting steered towards the coast with rainfall continuing through Sunday, some of it heavy at times and adding up, especially along the coast. But even in the upslope areas, getting into the Cascades, this map kind of speaks to just how warm it is. We see rain in those upslope areas here, not snow. The snow levels are very high considering just how mild the pattern is. Rainfall, though, with the heaviness of it, could cause some flash flooding. Got to watch right along Gold Beach, maybe down towards Crescent City in California. We'll see that rain continuing here as we get through, again, all day today and through the entire weekend, Greg.
Well, by the looks of the ice, we have 3 weeks to go as we count down to the kickoff to Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. The final 4 teams will leave it all on the field during NFL's Championship Sunday.
Nate Burleson with our partners at CBS joined meteorologist Stephanie Abrams to break down which team has the weather advantage. Nate, Jared Goff. Very interesting. We're talking about this too. You're going for the Lions.
Well, you know, I kind of would like them to win, but I feel like they're going to get run over by San Francisco. I just do. I don't know why I feel that way.
I don't know. We got the blue ice. I feel like that's good luck right now. We got that blue ice in northern Michigan. Kansas City or Ravens?
Either one. I think the Ravens are going to win.
No matter what you're voting for.
No matter who I want to win, I think the Ravens.
Yeah. We all have our stories from that event here. You ended up having to stay at the Weather Channel. I
slept on the floor here that night. It was, but I didn't after that. Certainly, that was just a horrible event.
So many stories. One, I won't call it a funny story, but now looking back, I guess it is, was a colleague who had to just leave their car on the side of the road and walk home, and then had to walk back a day or two later to get the car, and brought the wrong keys.
Oh my gosh.
And it was miles. It wasn't like it was a short couple of blocks. But that's the extent. People were stuck, miles away from home, and you couldn't move. It was gridlock.
Countless stories like that in Atlanta, and especially in North Georgia, elsewhere. It was awful. I mean, when you have that kind of ice, it shuts everything down, grinds it to a halt, literally. It
was truly a perfect storm, though, of events. The cold air came in, and that little slushy layer that was first froze, and then you had just a slab of ice with snow on top of that, and, there was no way to treat it without, the equipment. In the South, we just don't have that compared to the North.
I remember waking up in the morning sore back and all because I laid out on the floor here at night during the wedge. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I thought this was the South, but it can happen here too.
It can happen. Interesting though, what a change of events 10 years later. Last night in Atlanta, we had thunderstorms.
How about that?
Welcome back, everyone. We are here with you through the mid-morning hours to get you ready for all the big events in your neighborhood.
That's right. The Weather Channel, of course, has you covered from coast to coast. And, Jen, it feels like, as you were talking about yesterday, this fog is really stealing the headlines with maybe a record amount of warnings and advisories for fog.
Yes, it's everywhere from top to bottom, and just the fact that it's so mild, but you can't really enjoy the mildness because it's either foggy or rainy. It's weird. It's a very weird pattern. I actually can't stop looking at the tower cams and observations because of all this fog.
So the point that you raise is a really important one, because the denser and colder that air mass is, the slower it's going to go away, and the interaction between the warmth and the cold brings us the fog and gives us this nasty sort of combination.
That is such a good point. Cold air is such a boss, really.
It's a boss.
And the fact that this warm air has been able to kind of overtake it.
Yep. That says something.
That does say something.
Yeah, and it takes its time. If it were maybe not that cold in air mass, it would have been gone long ago. But it held its grip and wouldn't let go.
Yeah. Well, it's still here. And rinse and repeat is the theme of today's big deal.